unto the cabaret.
Hey singers! My name's Samantha.
And I'm Andy.
Welcome to How to Be a Singer and Make Money.
Today we're talking about vintage singing. So what is vintage?
Usually people mean 1940s and World War II, but it can mean anything from the 1920s to the 1950s, but we'll focus on the 40s.
So how does vintage singing differ from normal singing?
Number 1, voice.
All the mainstream singers up until the 50s, pop singers, were classically trained.
Even singers famous for being natural were actually classically trained.
Here's Gracie Fields, also known as our Gracie, the girl next door.
The girl that makes the thing that drills the hole that holds the ring that makes the thingamabob that makes the engines run.
You can hear that she's singing like the girl next door until she gets to a tricky note. In this case, the word raw.
Run.
When she suddenly reveals her trained voice.
So if you're not classically trained, then how can you fake it?
A. Pitch.
If you don't have natural perfect pitch, then vocal coaching is the only way to improve your pitching.
B. Diction.
Listen to old records and notice how they pronounce every letter.
You will need to pronounce every consonant, for example, all of the T's at the end of words.
Get the vowels correct. For example, Vera Lynn always sings memory, not memory or memory, but memory.
For example, if you were to sing a modern song such as Memory from Cats, you would sing Memory all alone in the moonlight. So you would have memory. Whereas Vera Lynn in the song When They Sound the Last All Clear sings, and the dark lonely nights were only a memory. So you see, that time she said memory.
Another example is the word when. Classically, one would always say when rather than when, which is what we'd say now.
C. Delivery.
Begin and end words clearly, with obvious gaps between some of the words.
And try and end words with a rounded ending, not sharp. For example, in the White Cliffs of Dover, you want to go for the White Cliffs of Dover, with a nice rounded ending, instead of the White Cliffs of Dover, with a very sharp ending. Do you see what I mean?
It will all sound weirdly exaggerated to you, at least to start with, but it will sound right to the audience. Record yourself doing it and you'll see.
Number 2. Physical.
A. Your stance.
Good posture will immediately make you look more classical.
B. Movement, emoting, expression.
You don't want to do anything too extreme. They were usually very closed in and very slow movements.
C. Costume.
Actual vintage, if possible, or modern copies. Or you can do modern in the style of clothes, which aren't actually authentic in design, but they look like they are. But please, please, please stay away from fancy dress costumes.
D. Your microphone.
You'll want a shock-mounted microphone for 20s and 30s, and also the 40s if you wish.
A ribbon microphone for the 40s, ideally.
And those nice chrome microphones are for 50s only, not the 40s.
E. Your hair.
You'll need to check styles for the era, and there are lots of references available online.
F. Makeup. For women, that is.
Same as for hair, getting it perfect can be tricky and long-winded, but if your hair and lipstick are right, then that makes a good look. Number 3. Song list.
Use music written within the era you are portraying, obviously.
Also remember that in every decade, people are still listening to music from previous decades.
So for a 40s gig, it's fine to add in 20s and 30s music too.
Number 4. PA.
You can make your modern PA sound old if you wish.
Check out online tutorials, there are plenty of them. If you have a digital mixing desk, then you'll be able to make it sound very authentic.
However, if you have an analogue mixing desk, you're limited, but minimise the treble and the bass, just leaving the mid section, and that will sound pretty good.
If you can, and it depends on the mixer, then you'll want to boost the 2000 Hz part of the signal. Number 5. Chat.
If you want to sound vintage, then listen to an old-fashioned, wholesome movie, such as Brief Encounter. Celia Johnson and Trevor Howard are great examples of speaking styles to copy.
And try to avoid modern phrases. If you're unsure, keep the wording very simple and almost childlike.
Well, that's it for this week. Please subscribe so you don't miss the next one, which is out next Thursday and is all about community events.
Yeah, and if you have any specific questions that we haven't covered, I do lots of vintage performing, so please feel free to message me through my website, samantha.co.uk, and I'll give you a hand.
So until next week,
Bye!